Hello, family members. Hope you're having a great day today. Um, I have something that I've been thinking about for some time that I, I think it's important to talk about at this period of time, especially because everything's in such a state of flux right now with President Biden jumping out of the race and, Trump's team trying to figure out how to run against Kamala Harris. You know, it's it's a very unusual time in presidential politics for sure, and just politics in general, I'd say. And I think a lot of it comes down to the Republican Party and their magical thinking. You know, there's a pretty big industry of people out there that do business gurus and self-help gurus and motivational speakers and, you know, life coaches and all of that. And I'm sure there are people that do that kind of work that sincerely are trying to help people. But I think that just because they believe they're helping people doesn't mean they actually are. And I think a lot of the problem is there's this, it's the power of positive thinking. It's people who sincerely believe that they live in a magical world where smart people get rich, therefore rich people must be smart. Good people get rich, therefore rich people must be good. You know, beautiful people are kind and good, and people who look weird are, gross and not as important as normal people are, you know? And so they live in this world where they truly believe that they can manifest the reality they want to live in. And it's honestly hilarious to watch them sitting here and flailing in this moment because this is not anything that any of them manifested, okay? Having to recalibrate their whole presidential campaign approach and thus, because a rising tide lifts all ships, there's more people, more excitement for a new Democratic candidate, then everyone down the ticket is also going to benefit from that, okay? And they know that. So everything has changed. The political landscape has changed. And there was nothing that they could have done or did, to manifest this. Like this is not where they wanted to be. And it's something that happens to Republicans again and again when they get their way, and then reality just kicks them in the absolute gonads for that. Yeah, I mean it's hilarious. So like for example, basically anytime you see Republicans get like a supermajority in a state and they implement their like financial desires on the state's economy, and then it tanks the economy, like it's awful. Like what happened in Kansas fairly recently, awful. But it's also kind of funny, right? Or when, Trump's magical thinking that, he didn't want the virus to be a big deal and he could just kind of wish it away. And if he pretended like it wasn't there, it wouldn't be, he could basically rewrite reality. And it wasn't a big deal. And no one needed to take precautions. And then he caught COVID, like, all of his magical thinking could not stop that from happening. all of his magical thinking about people coming out and protesting in huge numbers when he got arrested didn't manifest the crowd of protesters that he wanted, you know? Like, it, it's been interesting to see over and over again over the last few years the Republicans leaning into this magical thinking. You know, the Trump-led party certainly has that magical thinking, and if everybody just toes the party line and says the party's talking points, they can just manifest the reality they want to exist. And then they keep getting spoon-fed reality that doesn't match that over and over again. And here we are in yet another circumstance where they're flailing. But it doesn't mean that we're not in a very dangerous place, you know? There's still a very large chance that this election could go wrong. And, you know, that's the sort of thing that could literally kill people like me, you know? Because what I mean is that I am ill. I have this, invisible disability. I'm not able to do much of anything. And I'm trying to get Social Security disability. And if that does get approved, but the Republicans get their way in their magical thinking is you take from the, entitlements, because that's such a large expenditure. And wouldn't it be better if we didn't have to pay so much of that and we could give some more tax breaks to billionaires and stuff? And, I have to sincerely worry that even if I do finally get the benefits that I work for and deserve, it's quite possible that the amount of them will be diminished significantly because people like me don't fit into their reality. They don't want me to exist. And so they need to not include me in any sort of like economic policy, like an aromantic woman who, does not have a partner to support her or children, or, I do have, luckily, my parents' support, but, they're retired on fixed incomes themselves. It's not like there's an abundance of money just flowing around me or anything. But in their world, I should be married and, at 42, maybe even have kids old enough to work and help support me and a husband to support me, Oh, gross. Even just saying that. Oh, that felt wrong. I'm sorry. I am way too aromantic to even have that thought experiment, okay? But they want to wish us away. They want to pretend I'm not real. They want to pretend that, trans people aren't really real, that it's some sort of like weird social disease or something. And so that's why they got to make it an ism and an ideology and all that silly word stuff that they try to do to distract, because they feel like if they repeat their lies enough, if they can get enough people to believe them, then maybe reality will bend and conform to their will. I really don't understand what the anti-trans campaigners really think is going to happen. What do they think is going to happen to trans people? There are going to be trans people who refuse to go into the closet or stay in the closet, no matter what you do. No amount of abuse, torture, conversion therapy, arrests, starvation. There are people who that identity is their freedom to express that identity is as precious to them as their own breath. what would what's her face, Posey Parker or whatever, Parker, no, she's Posey, she has like 5 quadrillion names, but she's on online all the time bitching about trans people. Like, what does she want to do with people who are like that? I mean, like, seriously, she doesn't believe trans people are real. She thinks she can just like talk at, but with a person like that right in front of her, what would she even do? You know, like, I don't think she even knows, because she doesn't want to enact any sort of plan to make the world the way she wants it to be. She just wants to keep talking until she can convince herself and everyone else around her that the world that she wants to exist already does exist. Which is wild, right? But it's not uncommon, you know, it's a very common thing in conservatism. You know, I think that's why you see a lot of overlap in the like entrepreneur, MLM kind of stuff and conservatism as well, is because there's a lot of magical thinking that goes into that kind of stuff, you know. Like, you got to have the right grind set, and you got to believe in yourself, and you got to blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you know, that's not true. Like, there are people that have that grind set or whatever that become, you know, like rich and famous or whatever. But if they tell other people that you need that to get there, that is just survivorship bias. Like, they made it there just on the luck of the draw, and people replicating the steps that they took isn't going to get them to the same place. Like, I did do everything that Jeff Bezos did when he was starting Amazon right now, but it wouldn't work again because the time frame that it was so specific, you know? Like, there's not like any, you know, you do this, 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 and this, and your life is going to be a certain way. And I think that's really what conservatives want at the end of the day. They want to believe that if they do everything the right way, that they're going to be prosperous and happy, and everyone's going to think they're the best humans around or whatever, you know? And seriously, not true, right? I mean, you can do everything right, and somebody else can come along and just ruin your life without even meaning to. Like, I used to have this neighbor who was a biker, and he's just riding his bike, not doing anything wrong, and somebody else who had a trailer made an illegal left turn in front of him when he had right-of-way, and he was able to dodge the vehicle, but he wasn't able to dodge the trailer. And he has like irreparable brain damage and huge, horrible physical problems and pain and all sorts of stuff. And it's just like, he didn't do anything wrong. He was just in the wrong place in the wrong time. Someone else was being careless, and their careless mistake changed his life forever, you know? And I think that's the same thing with like people like me. I think they want to believe that if you are poor and needy, you did something wrong. That there's something that they could do to prevent them from ever being in the same position as someone like me. They need to believe that. And so they think they can manifest that into reality. But the truth is, every single one of us is minutes away from your lives changing at any time. It could happen. You know, it's unlikely, but there's always a chance. You know, you could be sitting in your house doing nothing, and a sinkhole could open up under your house. That happens in Florida sometimes. I have to think about that. It could happen to me. It's unlikely, but it could. You know, I don't have a guarantee that's not going to happen, or that there's not going to be an earthquake or a tornado or a wildfire or a car wreck or a sudden illness. You know, I was just talking to a friend about her ex who died of meningitis, was sick and didn't know there was a problem, and then was dead within like hours. You know, you can't wish your way out of reality. But that's what Republicans want to do. And that's why it's so hard to work with them, because they don't think they need to compromise. They don't think compromise is a good thing. They believe that the world should be exactly the way they want it. Everyone should conform to what they want. And if they wish hard enough for it and demand it loudly enough, then they will manifest it and get their way. And they're wrong. And it's hilarious and terrible and scary and awful. And we got to hope that we can make it through. So, from now until Election Day, I got to end every single one of my videos this. Vote! If you're an American, vote! Please vote! I don't care who you vote for. You can vote for whoever you want, but please vote. And if you're going to vote for president, please vote for Harris. I mean, please, okay? It would mean a lot to me personally. If I could have even a few people who are like, you told me to vote at the end of your video, and I did, and I wasn't gonna. That would like make my life better. I'm serious. That would be the best gift anyone could give me. So, all right, family members, I'll talk to you later. Bye.